Hey, what's up everyone? Since there hasn't been much news on the Avengers game, I want to take some time and compile certain aspects that you might have missed in various trailers. Specifically, I want to look at all the known regions or locations that have been shown so far and discuss their purpose and how they might be used. I'll be going through a lot of blink and you miss it gameplay clips, so we'll do a little bit of a pseudo breakdown on some of the clips while we're looking at them, because I think a few of them have some interesting Easter eggs and bits of information hidden in them. So let's begin with the first level that we'll be introduced to. Everyone is aware of the San Francisco 8A level, so we won't spend too much time here, but since 8A takes place 5 years ago, it doesn't look like we'll be returning to the bright and sunny San Francisco we see in 8A. In an interview with AIMBOT, creative director Noah Hughes says, "We have a bit of a destroyed San Francisco." We get a brief glimpse of this in the trailer that shows the aftermath of 8A, so when we return here, expect it to be much darker and more grim. After this, we see Kamala Khan jumping across rooftops towards the AIM building. She's not quite in New York yet though. Instead, I think she is actually making her way through Jersey City towards New York, and we're possibly around the historic downtown section of Jersey City with Freedom Tower not too far in the distance near AIM Tower. This nighttime stroll across rooftops is most likely part of an early campaign mission, and I think we'll actually spend most of our time during the day in Jersey City thanks to these gameplay clips. The first one is of Thor fighting AIMBOTs in the street, and behind him we can see what looks to be some kind of health container. I'm guessing that breaking them is one of the ways we can get health back in the game. We get a better look at this level through Kamala though. One of the first things you'll notice here is the quarantine container. In another trailer, Kamala mentions that AIM sees Inhumans as a disease, so these are most likely used to transport Inhumans. And an even more devious Easter egg noticed by Reddit user Spoonzl are these yellow tubes in some of the windows with an ambulance backed up to the building. So the theory is that AIM is gassing out some of the Inhumans and discreetly transporting them via the ambulance. We can also see that the road is blocked off by AIM with an evacuation notice. It's tough to read, but I think it says, "Lockdown initiated, follow signs to nearest shelter." My guess is that this block has multiple Inhuman residents, and AIM is attempting to capture them while evacuating regular humans, essentially causing panic and fear of Inhumans. Also, if you're wondering how we know this is Jersey City, that is thanks to Radoslav's Vietnamese grocery store, which is a fictional store in the Ms. Marvel comics, since Ms. Marvel is a resident of Jersey City. The fictional location is said to be on West Side Avenue in Jersey City, but I wasn't able to find that exact location. But on screen I have some areas in Jersey City that look similar to the game, because I think it's helpful to see the real-life Jersey City that the game is based on, and also how to differentiate it from New York if you've never been to either. I also think that a lot of these gameplay clips are part of the Warzone missions, which are basically side missions that fill in the gaps of the main campaign story. These missions can be played single-player or co-op with friends, and these missions should have a good range of free roam attached to them as well. How large each of these missions will be is still unknown, but Spoonzl put together a helpful chart that might give us a reference to how big the maps will be, and how it might be divided up. I used Spoonzl's diagram as a starting point and tried to see if I could find some of these locations on Google Maps. We'll talk about the New York side a little bit later in the video, but as far as Jersey City, there is also a clip of Iron Man fighting on a pier. I think this takes place roughly around this Newport location, possibly on this wide harbor. I can't get there on Google Maps, but the buildings in the back look like they could be similar to the game's background, which would mean that the map could expand from the west side into historic downtown and then possibly around to the waterfront. I'm not familiar with New York or Jersey City, so if anyone is able to pinpoint these locations better, I'd love to hear your input. But if I'm somewhat close, then these levels could be fairly large. While we're on the topic, let's look at New York. The best views we get are through some Iron Man clips. Using the number 42 on the building across from Iron Man, I think there are a couple good spots where this could be. I personally thought this could be near 40 Wall Street, the Trump building, which would be this location right here. They look similar, but Spoonzl suggests it's somewhere on 42nd Street in Midtown Manhattan, which I think is more accurate. I tried to find a specific location that this could be based on, and the best I could find is this building on the corner of 42nd and Madison. In the clip, we can also see a street sign for Main Street. After looking up 42 Main Street in New York, we get this Starbucks. It looks similar, but not exact. My conclusion is that the developers are taking creative liberties with some of the buildings instead of doing one-to-one recreations. Again, I'm not familiar with New York, so I could be overlooking a different building, but this is the closest I've been able to find so far. If this is in fact Midtown, maybe the map will also incorporate Times Square. I just think it would be really cool to beat up AIMBOTs in Times Square. But to sum up, although they're close in proximity, I think Jersey City and New York will be different regions just because anytime we see them in these clips, it's daytime in New Jersey and nighttime in New York, which leads me to believe they are different missions. There's also a cool Easter egg during the Iron Man clip, and that is the sign for Roxxon Corporation. Roxxon is another bad guy company in Marvel Comics, so seeing their name here is pretty cool and helps to expand the universe. Whether or not Roxxon will play a role in the game yet remains to be seen, but for now I think they are mostly being used as an Easter egg here. Next up is the desert map, the American Southwest. This location has shown up in a lot of various trailers, and I think it's a location that we will spend a lot of time in during the game just based on how many important aspects are tied to it. For example, the Hank Pym trailer. Hank Pym leads a resistance group from a location called the Anthill, which is located in the American Southwest. I'm not sure where specifically the geography of this location is, but it seems to be around Arizona or New Mexico area. The American Southwest is also where the wrecked CHIMERA helicarrier will be discovered, and we will make that our base of operations. Kamala is the one who discovers the CHIMERA, as we see here. There are a few quick clips that showcase this region as well, one of which is Captain America fighting a few AIMBOTs. Beside him we can see the Marvel Universe version of the fast food restaurant Sonic, as well as the logo in the background. Behind Cap is an AIM facility, which we can get a better look at in the Hulk gameplay. I think this is part of a much larger AIM facility that we can see in the background of Black Widow's gameplay. We can see a very large tower off in the distance, which I think is one of a few different large AIM facilities. There is also this screenshot that shows the same tower off in the distance, but also gives us a look at 3-player co-op. It's also cool seeing Hulk clinging to the wall here, which leads me to believe that he will be able to make massive leaps and bounds, just like we would expect him to. After seeing the different clips of this desert location, I think this map is going to be huge, and it's probably the most expansive we've seen for a location in the game so far. We can see Thor and Iron Man flying across part of it here, as well as them fighting this Dreadbot. The AIM tower isn't even in those clips, so I think we will have a lot of territory to cover in this map. As promised, let's now look at the snowy map, the American Northwest. A good portion of the clips here weren't actually from official trailers. At Gamescom, YouTuber JorRaptor was able to record some footage from his phone and upload it for everyone to check out, so we'll take a look at some of those clips here. If you'd like to check out JorRaptor's channel, I'll have a link in the description below, but let's start with the first clip of Thor. Thor's fighting some henchmen in a high-up location that I'm thinking could be a security room because of all the monitors and the live feed of another room. One very intriguing aspect of this room is the monitor on the back wall, which seems to be monitoring the heat of something. We can see the temperatures displayed to the right, and one of them occasionally turns red as it approaches 100 degrees. The big question is, what the hell does this mean? Well, I'm not totally sure yet, to be honest, but Reddit user Spoonzl recently made a post describing his theory about AIM having possession of the cosmic cube, and this image of a cube in the center was one of his points. There are a couple other cube Easter eggs we'll get to in a moment, but for now, it's an intriguing idea that the cosmic cube is being used to power something. The 2 hexagons to the side of the cube could be in reference to phases or other resources being used by AIM. I can't say for what yet, but the use of hexagons has been very prevalent for the Avengers game, so maybe there are more to them than we originally considered. I'll also have a link to Spoonzl's Reddit post in the description if you'd like to check that out for yourself. The next clip seems to be part of the same level and very high up based on the mountaintops across from us. Based on the height, I think we are on a similar structure like the AIM tower in the desert map. Another clip of Thor gives us a more clear look and also a brief glimpse of another level above us, which means we can go even higher. Behind us there also seems to be some kind of portal. I'm not sure for what yet, but my guess is that this could be an enemy spawn point. We also have some gameplay of the Hulk on the same level, but maybe a floor below. I mostly want to point out whatever is next to him at the top of those stairs. It could be something simple like a terminal overlooking the mountains, or this could be our first look at strongboxes in the game. Strongboxes are presumably hidden chests that will have some kind of reward inside, but like I said, it might just be part of the environment. During Cap's gameplay, we can see the ground level of this map. The first segment could either be at the bottom of the tower, or under one of these array satellite dishes. I think this map must be massive in scale like the Desert 2, especially if we are fighting through this whole tower. In this screenshot, we can see some 4-player co-op, but the enemies are interesting. One seems to be an Adaptoid, much like the one we see Black Widow fight in the reveal trailer, so maybe they will become common enemies as we progress through the game. Also, the quality of this photo isn't great, but to me it looks like this enemy has laser vision. Again, it might just be the lack of quality, but it would be interesting if some of the enemies we face will have superpowers too. Here are some additional combat clips in the snow level. The next level I want to discuss is this AIMBOT manufacturing plant. As a disclaimer, this level could be one of the lower levels of that AIM facility in the American Northwest, but I can't definitively say for certain, so we'll just treat it as its own level for now. But anyway, we can see what looks to be an area where AIMBOTs are manufactured. In the background, I couldn't help but notice that orange glow. The quality isn't great on this clip, so it's tough to say for sure, but it looks like some kind of energy source to me, or maybe a portal. I figure it was worth bringing up, but for all I know, this could be a light on a fancy door, so I'll reserve judgment until we get a higher quality look. This next clip of Widow is also extremely interesting. We talked earlier about Spoonzl's cosmic cube theory. At the top of the staircase, it looks like there is a box housing some kind of energy. Again, it's tough to tell, but the way it's centered at the top of the stairs between these two columns of lit up DNA strands makes me think it has some importance. Whether it's the cosmic cube or not remains to be seen, but I also wonder if it has something to do with AIM's arc reactor. Lastly, we can see Thor on another floor of this level, and in the background is what looks to be another health canister. Okay, now let's look at some levels with a little more mystery surrounding them. The first is an underwater level that was mentioned by creative director Sean Eskai during an interview. I think we've seen this level briefly during this Iron Man gameplay. Outside the window, it looks like water, and I think that's coral at the top right. This underwater facility could be pretty large too, since it looks like there is a runway or some kind of lit up tunnel leading up to the facility as well. Whether or not we will actually be in the water at some point is still unclear, but for now I'm just expecting us to be in this underwater facility. There is also a space mission in the game. The extent of it is still unknown, but we get a brief look at Iron Man crashing through space in his new Star Boost armor. Another armor we might get for this space mission is the Atmosphere armor, based on this action figure. Thank you EvDog on Discord for sharing this figure with us. We've known the Star Boost armor would be in the game, but I wasn't aware of the Atmosphere armor until now. A lot is still unknown about this space mission, but my theory is that this will be where the climax of the story takes place. But on to the next location. Towards the beginning of the game, it seems like Kamala is on the run from some AIMBOTs and ends up getting trapped in this AIM bus station. We get a couple of gameplay shots here, but I don't think this will be the location we spend a lot of time in. In fact, I think it is just a small section of this campaign mission, and we eventually escape through this hole in the wall that the robots make, and we continue across the rooftops. Another small glimpse at a campaign level is this one of Thor attempting to stop the helicarrier from crashing into New York. It looks like Iron Man and Thor are protecting the exterior of the helicarrier, since we can see them both here, and we also see Iron Man blasting AIMBOTs, but for some reason it loses power, and it is up to Thor to save the helicarrier. Without getting into too many spoilers, I think we will play as Thor for the majority of this level. Also, there's another health canister here too, so I'm sure we'll get a good portion of Iron Man gameplay here as well. I'm not sure if it counts as a level, but like I mentioned earlier, the CHIMERA helicarrier will be our base of operations, and we can see Tony walking around inside as well. This is where we will take on different missions and upgrade our characters. We can also upgrade the helicarrier as we progress the story. Joraptor was also able to nab this exterior shot of the helicarrier as well. There isn't anything too interesting listed in the text of this clip, except for maybe that it can hold up to 1,200 people in an emergency situation, which I think could be a little bit of foreshadowing. One of these upgrades to the helicarrier could be the inclusion of a training room. During Gamescom, people who were lucky enough to play the game got to test out Kamala's abilities in the training simulator called the Harm Room. If that sounds familiar, it's because this is likely the Avengers version of the X-Men's Danger Room, and could even be a nod to the X-Men in the game universe. Maybe Tony named it the Harm Room because the name Danger Room was already taken by Xavier. But basically, the Harm Room is where you face 15 waves of enemies that become increasingly more difficult with each new wave. We haven't talked about the Harm Room on the channel before, but I personally think this sounds like a blast. I read a few articles from people who got to play Kamala in the Harm Room, and they all said they enjoyed it much better than the A-Day demo. So this is definitely an exciting mode, and my guess is this will be something we can access through the CHIMERA helicarrier. Unfortunately, there are no gameplay clips of the Harm Room, but at least we know it exists. Okay, so the last location I want to bring up is more of a bonus one because I can't say for sure what exactly it is, but my guess is it's some kind of prison. The main clip I'm referring to is this one from the reveal trailer that shows something bursting out from the ground. There aren't really any definitive features in the background, and I have previously theorized that this could be some kind of prison, like the raft, due to the high walls. This clip of Hulk and Abomination could take place here as well, but there's not really anything definitive to confirm yet. So yeah, there could be a prison level, or this could be part of another level. I do have a theory about who that giant creature is that's bursting from the ground though, and I'm pretty confident about it, but it's tied to some spoilers via the leaked achievements, so I won't get into that here. If you'd like to learn more about the story and the leaked achievements, I'd recommend checking out my video on that. I try to go through a lot of story details, and I think it pairs nicely with this video, it's just very spoiler heavy. But those are all the known locations that have been revealed so far, and I think there are still plenty more locations to be revealed in the future. If you haven't heard yet, we're hoping the next reveal for Marvel's Avengers will occur during the Summer Game Fest, hosted online by the Game Awards YouTube channel. Square Enix is confirmed to be part of Phase 1, which should be this month, so stay tuned for that. And stay tuned to this channel for more updates and deep dives into Marvel's Avengers. I'm incredibly excited for the game and I can't wait to cover it more, so I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about coming up. If you're looking for a place to discuss the game with other fans, you can join us on Discord, the link is in the description below. But thank you for watching, I will see you in the next video.